All right. Well, let's get into the division. I think many thought coming into the season would be the best division in the AFC. Has not turned out to be the case. So we're going to have our man Rick Mukherjee. Come on, Rick, tell us what's going on here.
Yeah. Well, before I get into the AFC West, I want to make a comment about jerseys. I'm in the middle between Jake and Tony here. I think that jerseys are fine, but you should only wear jerseys of active players. You should not wear
Ooh,
jerseys of well, maybe legends are okay, like Ray Lewis or Peter Bulwer on the Ravens is fine, but
Chris Radman.
you should not be wearing a Ed Dixon jersey to the Ravens game, which this guy in front of me when I went to the Ravens Bills game was wearing an Ed Dixon jersey, and I was like, no,
I love that.
That's not a thing. So
That fires me up.
Only active players and only legends can you wear jerseys for.
Anyway. So I should get rid of my Sam Gash, is what you're saying?
Yeah, you should. Yeah. Well, Sam Gash is like one of the best fullbacks of all time. So
Dude, Sam Gash, come on.
The best jersey play ever is to wear the jersey of a guy who's now on another team from his previous team at the game that he used to play for. That's the best move, right?
That's a good play.
It's like to your point, like where like, hey, I don't know, some random Charger jersey. Now the guy plays for the Bills, but you wear his jersey to the Chargers game. Like that's the worst move ever.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so AFC West. Yeah, like I'm gonna echo what Mike said here. This was preseason. We talked about it, and it was like the division that we thought was going to be at where the AFC East is, with over 20 wins at this point in the season, but they're nowhere close to that. I'll start off by talking about the Raiders. They're trash, man. They made the big offseason splash in getting Devontae Adams. They had Hunter Renfrow coming off of a career year last year. Josh Jacobs looking good. Darren Waller, like a high-flying offense. But then they hired the worst coach in the NFL in Josh McDaniels. We've seen him be a terrible head coach in the past. He should have stayed in New England besides Bill Belichick, and where he actually knew what he was doing. I thought that's what he was going to do, but I guess not, because I thought he was going to wait until Bill Belichick retired and take over the reins in New England. But I guess he got an offer that he couldn't refuse, taking over in Las Vegas. But they're terrible, man. They just cut Jonathan Abram on their defense, and they literally have no first round picks from that from like the last like few years or something like that. They just are terrible at drafting. The owner doesn't know what he's doing. They're just a mess of an organization, and you would think that they would be better because they have a very high flying offense and pretty decent quarterback play. I think Derek Carr is a serviceable quarterback in the NFL, but just hasn't amounted to it. They obviously made the playoffs last year. I don't know if that was just a fluky kind of situation or not, and this is what the real Raiders are, but yeah, it just hasn't panned out for them this year, and they are just, I think they're going to finish dead last in this division by the end of the season, just where they are right now. Moving up to the Broncos, they also made a big splash in this division, and they're in the offseason trading for Russell Wilson, and everybody thought that getting a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, was going to make them Super Bowl contenders. They I think when they traded for Russell Wilson, their odds went from like 25 to 1 to win the Super Bowl to like 12 to 1 to win the Super Bowl. And one thing that we have realized, and I'll talk about this more when I cover when we talk about the NFC West, but I think the Seattle Seahawks completely fleeced them in that trade. They knew how bad Russell Wilson was at this point in his career. He just doesn't have the ability to make plays with his legs anymore. He's a statue in the pocket. He can't get outside the pocket and make throws, and he's basically dust at this point. I mean, they have good playmakers on the outside with Judy and Sutton. And they had a nice little two-headed backfield. Yes, Javonte Williams, losing him for the season was a big loss. They had good defense with Bradley Chubb, and Patrick Surtain was a great draft pick and stuff like that. They have the pieces there, but like I said earlier, this is a division that's completely. I mean, this is a league completely based on quarterback play, and they're just not getting it out of Russell Wilson. Yes, he looked a little better last week when he played in the London game against Jacksonville, but moving forward, I just don't. Unless like something miraculous happens and he starts able to be a little bit more mobile in the pocket, he's just going to continue to take sacks back there. And their offensive line's not that great, so I really don't see them making a comeback in their division. They do have tough games. They still have 2 games against Kansas City. I don't think they're going to win either of those games. They have to play the Ravens. They have to play the Chargers and Titans. So I think they have a pretty tough schedule moving forward. I say probably by the end of the year, I don't even think they're going to be eligible for a wild card spot. They're probably going to be like 7-10 at the best. I think maybe 6-11 could be their final record here. So it all comes down to these two teams at the top, the Chiefs and the Chargers. So my take on the Chargers so far this year is we thought last year the Chargers, yes, they missed the playoffs, but we saw the potential there with Justin Herbert. And I think maybe he's taken a step back this season. And I don't know if it's because he hasn't had Keenan Allen all year, basically, and Mike Williams is hurt now. I don't know if it's because of the fact that they're so like kind of banged up at like on both sides of the ball, to be completely honest with you. But Justin Herbert just looks like he hasn't made that next step that we thought he was going to take, where he would be like in MVP consideration. He's clearly, second fiddle to Patrick Mahomes in this division. And I'm not really sure why. I feel like, the step that we saw Tua take this year in Miami, who was drafted ahead of Justin Herbert, a few picks ahead of Justin Herbert in that draft, most people last year were saying that was the worst decision Miami could have ever made, was drafting Tua ahead of Justin Herbert. Well, now that we're 9 games into the season, week 10 of the season, is it the worst decision they made? It looks like Tua might be a little bit better than Justin Herbert. I don't know. Justin Herbert still passes the eye test, but is he good enough to take this team to the playoffs? I don't know, man. It's tough. They have one more game against Kansas City, which just got flexed to Sunday night in 2 weeks. They have a Sunday night game this week. So they're back-to-back Sunday nights against San Francisco and Kansas City. And I think both of those are losses, and they might be 5-5 in 2 weeks. And really, really looking out from the outside in in the playoff picture. So I think this division's Kansas City's. I think it's pretty safe to say it's Kansas City's. They did look pretty pedestrian on Sunday night against Tennessee. They didn't look like the high flying offense that we usually see out of Kansas City. I give a lot of credit to Tennessee in that game. Mike Vrabel's a hell of a coach. He's one of those guys that will fight for his team till the very end. He's made some crazy statements about what he'd do to win a Super Bowl and stuff like that in the past. And so I think the Titans match up well against the Chiefs. So maybe that wasn't the best matchup for them, but if we're going to talk about, a game where, like, for example, if the Chiefs play the Bills or the Chiefs play, another high flying offense in a game where it's a shootout, I'm going to lean with Patrick Mahomes most times, 95% of the time, just because I think not only is he the best quarterback in the NFL, he's probably one of the best quarterbacks of all time at this point. So I think the number right there for -900 for the Chiefs is appropriate. I think they are the clear-cut best team in this division. I think they're going to end up being, a top 3 seed going into the playoffs. And, anything happens in January football. We talked about that earlier. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if their defense is able to hold up. The defense has been playing okay so far this year. Nothing great. I think they're definitely exploitable, but that's something we worry about when it comes to January. But I think they're the clear-cut winner to win this division and, go to the playoffs as a top 3 seed.